Hi, loves. Lots of questions coming up lately about false light. So I'm just here in my car about to go see my horse, but it was buzzing through my head, so I had to talk about it. So, what is false light? So false light is light, positive, spiritual discussions, therapies, techniques, etc., that are meant to be of the light, to be positive, to be helpful, to be part of your growth process, ascension, expansion of consciousness, etc. But they are actually darkness, falsely presented as light, right? Manipulated as light. And so darkness can disguise itself as light and use that as a way to manipulate you. And essentially the purpose of darkness is to elicit fear. And then through that fear, dark energies can essentially suck your life force, right? Because fear sends a lot of your life force, of your vibration, away from you. It's very easy to be controlled and manipulated when you're in a place of fear. So what's false light and what's not? There's a lot of people out there saying that all different kinds of things are false light, that any kind of channeling is false light, that Reiki is false light, that it's just all kinds of things, right? And so what's the truth? How do you know what's false light and what's not? Well, first of all, it depends on the person who is using and doing the therapy, right? Are they trying to make you fearful? Are they trying to manipulate you? Are they trying to put themselves in a space of being the guru, of creating hierarchy in spirituality? There's no hierarchy in spirituality. We are all equal. And are they trying to control your thoughts? Are they trying to control what you believe is right or wrong, or what you believe, what is your truth, right? So how do you distinguish what's false light? You know, is Reiki false light? I don't think so. I've had wonderful experiences with Reiki, and I think most Reiki practitioners are very gentle, wonderful, conscious people who are trying to do something good. Are there people out there using Reiki as a source of false light? Sure, I'm sure there are. So how do you know what's what? How do you distinguish? This is where you come back to your own discernment. You have to ask yourself, how does this message make me feel? What does my body feel like when I come into the presence of this information? Do I get a sinking pit in my stomach? Or do I get that, whoa, my mind was just blown. I need to think about this and figure out, how does this play into my life, right? So lots of real false light out there. Cults are false light, right? Cults, and even certain sects of organized religion, right? Where there's money being siphoned from people, that's false light, right? Where people's minds are being controlled, where their lives are being controlled. That's certainly very clearly false light. But when it comes down to individuals and smaller groups, you really go by how the information and how the person delivering the information makes you feel. Because we all have our own discernment. We all have our own empathic abilities. Everyone is an empath to some degree. You can stand next to someone and get a vibe from them. Oh, this person feels really nice and friendly, or ooh, this person does not feel good. Or this person is acting really nice and friendly, but you can feel underneath that they got kind of a funky motive, right? Ladies, you especially know what I'm talking about. So you come back to your own discernment. You come back to your own sovereignty. You come back to your own body intuition. That's what's going to tell you what's false light and what's not. And truth is subjective. Think about that. My truth 5 years ago was very different than my truth now. And I'm sure my truth in another 5 years will be very different than it is now. So truth is subjective. There is no one truth. Our truth changes over time. Everyone's truth is different to them based on their own life experience, based on the lens that they are viewing the world through. We're all viewing the world through our own lens of experience, through our own lens of programming. So if something makes you feel good, something makes you feel empowered, just go with it. right? But that sense of feeling good and that sense of empowerment should not come from a hierarchical space, right? Where one is more wise and more powerful than the other. It should not come from a space of ego where you feel like now you are stepping into hierarchy and you are better or more good than someone else, more wise, because you're not. The more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know. And so your truths should make you feel more compassion for those around you. That's how you know it's real truth, is when it allows you to become a more compassionate, empathic, loving person. That's real truth. That's the only thing that's real truth. So there are dark forces out there, and they do want to feed off you, and they do want to suck your energy, and they do that through creating fear, because fear is a way to manipulate and control you and leak your energy. And so how do you learn certain truths? There's a lot of dark truths out there, right? Like there's child sex trafficking, there's slavery still happening in the world, there's genocide still happening in the world, there's a lot of greed, you know, especially in the US through our medical systems and our political systems. There's a ton of greed that, you know, is harming a lot of people, and they don't even know it. So how do you learn these truths and not be in fear? The thing is, you learn a truth and you accept that you don't have control over those things at such a high level. What you do have control over is your own sovereignty, your own consciousness in the present moment, and you bring your consciousness back to the present moment. Yes, we are polluting the shit out of our planet. What can you do right here in the present moment to help be part of the solution, right? So you vote with your dollar, you buy more green products, you buy organic foods, you compost in your backyard, right? Those are the things that you have control over. You know, if you have, you donate to organizations, right? So you are conscious of what's out there, but you also bring it back to the present moment right here and right now. And that's how you work with this expanding awareness of how much darkness is out there without letting it take you out. Because when you gain consciousness and awareness of how much darkness there is, and you allow that to leave you in a space of constant fear, you're actually feeding into the darkness. By being in fear, you're feeding into the darkness, even when you want to fight it. By fighting is a very negative, right? It's a low vibrational state. By fighting, you are fueling the darkness. So don't fight it. Lovingly and compassionately understand that dark forces will always exist on this planet. They will always exist on the earth plane. It's part of the condition here. It's part of what we're meant to learn. It's part of what we're meant to transcend. We're meant to learn to live with the darkness and to embrace our own shadow aspects, our own darkness, and to make peace with that. So the darkness is never going to go away, right? We've got a lot of darkness coming to the surface right now, but what was happening 100 years ago? There was the Great Depression. People were starving. There was a Holocaust. There was mass genocide happening. You know, world wars were happening. So I don't know that planet Earth ever really changes. The technology changes, our circumstances change, our situations change, but there's always going to be darkness on planet Earth. This is what you signed up for. And so your choice is whether or not you engage with that darkness, whether or not you feed and fuel that darkness. And can we be fooled sometimes by false light? Sure, we can be fooled. But that's part of our growth process. That's part of our learning process. We have to tangle with the darkness and rise out of it. That's part of our mission here on Earth, is to understand how to live with it. So it's never going away. You have to make peace with it. And you have to make peace with the darkness within yourself. That's what this really comes back to, because we all have our shadow side. And this is why shadow work is so important. So if you feel very triggered by information coming out about the V's, the jabs, if you feel very triggered about that, if you feel very, very triggered by any kind of information that you're learning is truth now, that's a sign that there's deeper space for you to go in and heal in your own self, and for you to step more powerfully into your own sovereignty. Because you as one person are not going to change that. Right? We have a responsibility to educate our loved ones if they are willing and open to it. And we have a responsibility to shut our damn mouths if people are not open and willing to it. If their truth is different than ours, we have a responsibility to respect that. And to realize that we're all tangling with different levels of darkness at different times. And so, back to the original topic at hand, false light. Yes, it's out there. And that's where you've got to become so clean and clear in your own energy field that you can very quickly discern, this is for me, this is not for me. This was for me and it's no longer for me. And that's okay. You should constantly be evolving and changing. Your truth should constantly be evolving. That's how you know you're on the right path. So, and don't get caught up in someone else's truth. Don't let someone else's word become your dogma. Because that's how you give away your power. And that's how you get trapped by false light. When you no longer are discerning in your own way, you start to believe whatever someone else tells you. That's the most dangerous way to get trapped by false light. So use your own sovereignty, use your own discernment. You know the truth. The truth is within you. All right, sending you guys so much love. I hope this helped you to figure out how to manage all the wildness out there. Just love it, embrace it, live it. All right.